All right, let's get right into it. Have you ever looked around at all your half-finished projects, all the goals you started but never finished, and just felt buried? Well, if that sounds familiar, this one's for you. We're going to break down an idea that might completely change how you think about getting things done.
Seriously, just let that sink in for a second. This isn't about some character flaw. It's not about a lack of willpower, and it is definitely not about being lazy. The whole point here is that the problem isn't you, it's your focus. And honestly, that's not an accusation, it's a relief.
So let's actually put a name to this feeling. It's what we're calling the unfinished life. It's this cycle that so many of us get stuck in, and the really sneaky part? It always starts out with the absolute best intentions.
You know exactly how this feels, right? That amazing burst of inspiration hits. You're going to start a new workout routine, write that book, finally launch that side project. You buy all the stuff, you map out a schedule, and for a few days, maybe even a week, you feel incredible. You're on top of the world. But then, well, life does what it does. A surprise project pops up at work. Something happens with your family. Or maybe you just have a day where you feel completely wiped out. That initial fire, that motivation, it just starts to flicker. And then, something else, something new and shiny catches your eye. And right here, this is the moment that matters. Instead of pushing through that dip, you just quietly let that first goal go. You tell yourself you're just pivoting or readjusting priorities. It sounds so responsible, right? But if we're being honest with ourselves, it's really just a quiet way of giving up on what we started.
And when that becomes your go-to move, you end up living this unfinished life. Now, here's the key part of this whole idea. The frustration isn't because you're doing nothing. You're busy. You're working hard. The frustration comes from the fact that nothing ever gets finished. Your energy is like a mist spread out everywhere instead of a focused laser beam. And living like that, it takes a toll. You look around and feel like you've got nothing concrete to show for all that effort. It's like your brain is stuck in startup mode, always beginning but never getting to the good part, the part where you see the results of your work. And eventually, you start to turn on yourself. You think, maybe I just don't have what it takes. Maybe I'm not disciplined enough.
So why? Why do we keep falling for this? Well, the big idea here is that we're kind of addicted to the feeling of starting. Every time you start something new, your brain gets this little hit of dopamine, that feel-good chemical. We get hooked on the high of what could be, instead of the quiet satisfaction of what is.
And this breaks it down perfectly. Starting something is a rush. It's all excitement, hope, a totally clean slate. Finishing, well, that's the grind. The novelty wears off, the initial excitement is gone, and all you're left with is the slow, steady work. It's that boring middle part that actually gets things built. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. Think about it. Our whole culture celebrates the big launch, the brand new idea. But we almost never talk about the grit it takes to see something through to the end. It's a skill, and just like any other skill, it's one we have to practice.
Okay, so we know the problem, we know why it happens. Which brings us to the most important question of all. How in the world do we actually fix it? How do we break this cycle for good?
And the answer, you'll be glad to hear, is not some super complicated 12-step productivity hack. It's actually just one single, incredibly simple rule that is designed to do one thing: retrain your brain to love completion. Here's how it works. First, you pick one thing, and I mean one, not two, not five, just one. Second, and this part is absolutely crucial, you make that one thing smaller. And third, you make a deal with yourself. You are not allowed to add anything new until that one small thing is 100% done.
So let's be super clear on what make it smaller means. It doesn't just mean easier. It means making the task so ridiculously small that you could do it even on your absolute worst, most tired, unmotivated day. So instead of go to the gym for an hour, your goal is put on your workout clothes. Instead of write 1,000 words, it's write one single sentence. The whole point is to make it almost impossible to fail.
So what happens when you actually start living by this rule? Well, the payoff it's huge. It's all about rebuilding your confidence, not with hype or some fleeting motivational quote, but with the cold, hard proof that you finish what you start.
I mean, this chart really says it all. Motivation is temporary. It's like a spark. But the feeling of completing something, no matter how tiny it is, that's a solid, real win. That feeling is what builds real, lasting self-belief. Completion is a way better fuel than motivation could ever hope to be.
And that one little act of completion kicks off this amazing positive feedback loop. You've finished that one small thing, which gives you this little jolt of real confidence. That confidence helps you start to actually trust yourself again. And that self-trust, that's what gives you the fuel to take on something a little bit bigger next time. That is how real progress starts.
And this is the end game. This is the psychological shift we're aiming for. Your brain literally starts to rewire itself. It stops chasing that cheap thrill of starting something new, and it starts to actually value the deep, genuine satisfaction of finishing. Your mind learns to trust that when you say you're going to do something, you actually do it.
So, I'll leave you with this question. Forget about all the big, ambitious plans for just a minute. Think small. Think tiny. What is the one single, ridiculously small thing that you can allow yourself to complete starting today?